Welcome children. Once again I am going to explain about voices. Before explaining the topic, let me tell you that in my previous class I have already explained how to change a sentence into passive voice if the sentence is given in simple present tense, and today I am going to explain how to change a sentence into passive voice if the sentence is given in present continuous tense and present perfect tense. Remember that present perfect continuous tense cannot be expressed in passive voice. Before starting the explanation, let me give you some examples. For example, I changes into me or me changes into I. We changes into us or us changes into we. You changes into you. That means you remains the same. He changes into him or him changes into he. She changes into her or her changes into she. They changes into them or them changes into they. Now let me tell you how to change a sentence into passive voice if the sentence is given in present continuous tense. In an active voice, if the sentence consists of is, are, am plus ing form of the verb, then remember that the sentence is given in present continuous tense. While changing a sentence of present continuous tense into passive voice, then is, am, are plus being plus third form of the verb is added. For example, number 1, I am writing a letter. In this sentence, we are talking about I. So, I is the subject here. I is doing the work of writing. So, am writing is the verb here. I is doing the work of writing a letter. So, a letter is the object here. When it is changed into passive voice, then the object, a letter, comes in place of subject. The subject, a letter, is singular. So, is added. Then being, the third form of write is written. In passive voice, always by is added. The subject, I, comes in place of object and changes into me. So, in passive voice, this sentence becomes a letter is being written by me. Example 2. The boys are flying kites. In this sentence, we are talking about the boys. So, the boys is the subject here. The boys are plural, so are is added. The boys are doing the work of flying, so flying is the verb here. The boys are doing the work of flying kites. So, kites is the object here. While changing this sentence into passive voice, the object kites comes in place of subject. The subject kites is plural. So, are is added. With are, being is added. The third form of fly is flown. In passive voice, always by is added. The subject, the boys, goes in place of object. So, in passive voice, the sentence becomes kites are being flown by the boys. Example 3. Are they selling mangoes? This sentence is given in question form. In this sentence, they is the subject, selling is the verb and mangoes is the object. While changing the sentence into passive voice, are remains in its original place as the sentence is given in question form. The object, mangoes, comes in place of subject, then being is added. The third form of sale is sold. In passive voice, always by is added. The subject, they, changes into them and goes in place of object. So, in passive, this sentence becomes are mangoes being sold by them. Example 4. Why is Sonali taking medicine? This sentence is also given in question form. In this sentence, Sonali is the subject, taking is the verb and medicine is the object. Here, while changing the sentence into passive voice, why remains in its original position. Object medicine is singular, so is added after subject. Object medicine comes in place of subject. With medicine, being is added. Third form of take is taken. By is always added in passive voice. The subject Sonali goes in place of object, and so in passive voice the sentence becomes why is medicine being taken by Sonali? Example 5. He is not watching television. This sentence is given in negative form. In this sentence, he is the subject, is not watching is the verb. Television is the object. While changing into passive voice, the object television comes in place of subject. The subject television is singular, so is not is added. The third form of watch is watched. Always by is added in passive voice. The subject he changes into him and goes in place of object. So in passive voice, the sentence becomes television is not being watched by him. Now let me explain how to change a sentence or passive sentence into passive voice. If the sentence is given in present perfect tense, in an active voice, if the sentence consists of has or have plus third form of the verb, then remember that the sentence is given in present perfect tense. While changing a sentence of present perfect tense into passive voice, then has or have plus been plus third form of the verb is added. For example, number 1, I have done my duty. In this sentence, I is the subject, have done is the verb, and my duty is the object here. While changing into passive voice, the object my duty comes in place of subject. The subject my duty is singular, so has is added. With has been is added. The third form of do is done. In passive voice, always by is added. The subject I changes into me and goes in place of object. So in passive voice, the sentence becomes my duty has been done by me. Example 2. Have you sent the application? This sentence is given in question form. In this sentence, you is the subject, sent is the verb, and the application is the object. While changing the sentence into passive voice, the object application is singular, so has is added in the beginning of the sentence. The object, the application comes in place of subject, then been is added. The third form of send is sent. By is always added in passive voice. The subject you goes in place of object. So in passive voice, the sentence becomes has the application been sent by you? Example 3. Who has done this mischief? This sentence is also given in question form. In this sentence, has done is the verb and this mischief is the object here. While changing this sentence into passive voice, who changes into by whom? The object, this mischief, is singular, so has is added. After by whom, the object, this mischief, comes in place of subject. Then been is added. The third form of do is done. So in passive voice, this sentence becomes by whom has this mischief been done? Example 4. He has not sold his house. This sentence is given in negative form. In this sentence, he is the subject, has not sold is the verb, and his house is the object. While changing this sentence into passive voice, the object, his house, comes in place of subject. The subject, his house, is singular, so has not is added. Then been, the third form of sale is sold. By is always added in passive voice. The subject he changes into him and goes in place of the object. So in passive voice, this sentence becomes his house has not been sold by him. And with this, I am ending my today's class. Goodbye.